This class and who not to redshirt?
About a week before the first game. Same as we did last week. I mean, we get as many kids as we can in here and fill your roster up with as many good players as you can. You line up in August and you start practice, and about 20-some practices later is when you make that decision. And we've been very clear with all those guys to, don't worry about redshirt and don't worry about whether you are or whether you aren't going to be able to participate next year. You need to come in. You need to have a great summer, which we expect all of them here. If they're not here now, we expect them all in here about June 10th. And then once they go through 9 weeks of summer strength and conditioning, and get out there and do a bunch of 7-on-7 stuff and stuff on their own to learn from some of their older kids. And we line up in August, and we practice the heck out of them for 3 weeks prior to figuring out if they're going to help us or not.
Was it different being head coach recruiting as a closer rather than as an assistant coach and doing the sales job maybe?
Well, not really. You still try to get a bunch of guys to develop relationships with the kids. So it's not always just the area coach. But the head coach still got to call and make contact and go see them, and other coaches, whether it's O coordinator, D coordinator, O-line coach going into another area. Once you narrow the list down, you try to get a bunch of people that develop relationships with them. So it's busy and it's ongoing and it never stops until today. So a lot of these guys, behind you all back here, worked a lot harder than I did at it. But you still it's a group effort to the point you want to get as many people involved as you can.
And you spent the last few years working with other kids, kids that you were already on campus and you taught them your system. Moving forward here, you're going to have your own guys. Is there a difference? Can you show more with guys that, you made promises to or whatever?
No, I don't buy into that. We would never use that as an excuse. You take what you got a year to work with them, you take what you got, you develop them, you play them, put them in position, you try to get the very most out of them. This year's team is going to be different than last year's team. We put, about a month and a half ago, which was approximately a week after the bowl game, or a week and a half after the bowl game, we sat in here as the 2012 team and talked about what the 2012 team needs to do. Yeah, didn't mention anything about the 2011 team. It's all about the 2012 team. And then you add specific pieces of that puzzle, which 5 of the guys that were already here were in here. And then you get another 20 that add to it. And when it's time to add to it, you add to it. But in the meantime, you take what you got and you do the very best you can to make them better. So we don't buy into the fact of we got to wait until our guys get in here before we're going to be good.
I know you mentioned Travaris playing quarterback. Is that something you'd look at?
No, he's not going to play quarterback.
I mean, just for certain packages or anything.
No.
Dane, since we don't get many opportunities during the winter, look ahead to spring. What's goal number one? Are you going to have to install an essentially new defense?
Who, me?
Scheme-wise? Well, scheme-wise. Yeah, you as the head coach.
I can assure you I'm not going to do that. No.
Still not used to that head coach thing.
Well, I'm not, I mean, shoot, I got enough on my plate with the little I do with the offense. And continue to, get to know this group. And again, we've talked about this a lot, but, developing the unity of the 2012 team is way important than any other facet of football. Which you do a whole bunch of team building stuff and, the strength and conditioning stuff, the academic stuff, keeping them accountable for going to class and eating right and all that stuff. I mean, all that stuff's off-season stuff, which is important. In the meantime, we'll finish out the staff defensively. We'll make the announcement of who's doing what. We'll take 2 days off, or whatever it is, and then we'll get in here and we'll start having about 4 to 5 weeks of staff meetings and offensive and defensive meetings and special teams meetings, in addition to the strength and conditioning stuff that develops, and then we'll line up and we'll have 15 days of spring.
After you've hired 2 guys on your defensive side, and I'm sure you have a sense of which direction it's going. Are you going to have to change scheme-wise what you're doing on defense?
Yeah, I just mentioned that. We will do that. We're not going to do 3-3 stack anymore. It'll be some version of 3-4, 4-3, something like that. You got any ideas? I hope put it together.
I'm in the middle of asking.
I'm short on time
And I
too.
can't help Huggins either, so.
Short on time.
Danny,
We all face it.
you have a tight end in the class, and maybe people don't think that you use one, and you're talking about making, I don't know, safeties, linebackers, and ends. And, did you encounter misconceptions about what you do on offense and defense? And 'cause maybe
bit.
people don't yet know. How do you deal with that? What did you tell them? What you find?
Yeah, you just tell them it's not true, you know. And again, when Will came here, I mean, Will's a good-looking 6'6", you know, big body, moves good, changes direction good, and you know, he came to campus when we were practicing, and he saw what we were doing with Tyler Urban. And you know, if you didn't believe us, then we watched some tape with it, and you know, even with, I don't even know if you guys know, we lined up Tyler Urban as a tight end at times, you know, so we only had one of them bodies, so he was the only one that we could do that with. You know, those body types are hard to find, and the more you can get, the more stuff you can do with them.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach.
All right, thanks.